two muscle piece of flatbread. 6th 17th century. People use bread as plate. They put meat and vegetables onto bread and add with their finger. These the first open sandwiches, as they call it, trencher. 18th century, the name sandwich first appears in English. John Montagu, 1718, 1792. The fourth eel or sandwich like to eat, and the Gamble at London steak, big steak club. Sometimes he stayed 24 hours at gaming Apple. He was hungry, but he don't want to stop gaming. So the test from the club put some bit between two pieces of bread. He ate while he gambled. This new here became very the new meal became very fashionable with another meal in the club, and they call it the sandwich as told the year. 19th century and English writer Elizabeth Leslie introduced sandwiches to America. In 1833, she wrote a cookbook designed for cookery. In it, she had a recipe for ham sandwich, cut something slice of bread and ham. Butters the ham and puts the ham between two muscles with some mustard. Eat for lunch or support. Americans love them. 21st century, sandwich became very popular in this, and they were easy to make, and they were wonderful, cheap and profitable meal for workers and school children.
The eater make the first record sandwich. He made some nuts and pork with spice and some wine, and put between muscle with a pieces of for flat bread. They use bread as plate. They put meat and vegetable into some bread and add their fingers. They was the first open sandwich, and they call them trencher. The name sandwich first appears an Englishman, John Montagu, 18 to 1792. The first eel sandwich like to eat and gambles at London Beefsteak Club. Sometimes he stayed 24 hours at the gaming table. He was hungry, but he didn't want to stop gambling. So the chef from the club put some bits between two pies of bread, and he ate while he gambled. These new meals became very fashionable with all the men in the club, and they called the sandwich after the eel. In American writer Elizabeth Leslie introduced sandwich in America in 1837. She wrote a cookbook direction for cookery. In it, she had a recipe for ham sandwich. Cut something slice of bread and ham. Butter the bread and put the ham between two they was easy easy to make, and they was a wonderful cheap portable meal and a portable meal for worker and school children.
Camaraderie, hello the Adam, metaphorical sandwich. He makes some nut, apple, and spice with some wine and put it between two pieces, two muscles, pieces of the flat bread. He pour your bread as flat. They put meat and vegetable onto some bread and add with their finger. These were first open sandwiches, and they call them stranger. The name sandwich for up here, an Englishman, John Montagu, 1792, the fourth Earl of Sandwich, liked to eat and gamble at London Bistec Club. Sometimes he stayed 24 hours at the gaming table. He was hungry, but he don't want to stop gambling, so the chef from the club put some beef between two pieces of bread. He ate while he gambled. This new meal become very fashionable with other men in the club. And they call it sandwich after the eel. An American writer, Eliza Leslie, introduced sandwich to America in 1837. She wrote a cookbook, direction for cookery. In it, she had a recipe for ham sandwich, cut some thin bread and ham, butter the bread and put the ham between two slices with some mustard. Eat for lunch or supper. Americans love them. Sandwich become very popular indeed. They were easy to make, and they were a wonderful tip for the bowl meal for worker and school children.
Hello everyone, today I'm presentation about the history of the sandwich. Kamosh Rabi, he is the elder, made the first record sandwich. He made some nut, apple, and spice with some wine, and put it between two muscles, pieces of flat bread. People use bread as plate. They put meat and vegetables onto some bread and add with their fingers. These were the first open sandwich. And they call them trencher. The name sandwich first appeared. An Englishman, John Montagu, 1718 to 1792, for the 4 years of sandwich, like to eat and gamble at London Bistec Club. Sometimes he stayed 24 hours at the gambling table. He was hungry, but he didn't want to stop gambling, so the chef from the club put some beef between two pieces of bread, and he ate while he gambled. This new meal is very fashionable with older men in the club, and they call it the sandwich after the eel. An American writer, Eliza Leslie, introduced sandwich to America. In 1837, she wrote a cookbook, direction for cookery. In it, she had a recipe for ham sandwich.
cut the bread, cut some thin slice of the bread and ham, butter the bread and put the ham between two pieces, two slices with some mustard. With some mustard. Eat for lunch or supper. American love them. Sandwich is very popular indeed. Sandwich is very popular indeed. The river easy to eat. The river easy to make, and the river a wonderful, cheap, portable meal for worker and school children.
Adam made the first record sandwich. He made some nut, apple, and spice with some wine, and put it between two mussel piece of flat bread. People use bread as flat. They put meat and vegetable onto some bread and add with their finger. These were the first open sandwiches, and they call them trencher. The name sandwich first appeared in Englishman John Montagu 1718 to 1792. The fourth year of sandwich like to eat and gamble at London Mistake Club. Sometimes they stay 24 hours at the gaming table. He was hungry, but he didn't want to stop gambling. So the chef from the club put some bits of bread and he ate while he gambled. The new meal became very fashionable with another man in the club, and they called it the sandwiches after the eel. An American writer Eliza Leslie introduced sandwiches to America. In 1837, she wrote a cookbook, Direction for Cookery. In it, she had a recipe for ham sandwich. Cut some thin slice of bread and put the ham between two slices of bread. Butter the bread. Eat for lunch or supper. American loved them. Sandwich became very popular indeed. They were easy to make and they were a wonderful, cheap, portable meal for workers and school children.
The history of the sandwich. Famous Rabbi Hilly the Eater made the first record sandwich. He made some nuts, apple and spine with some wine and put it between two mussels pieces of flat bread. People use bread as flat and put meat and vegetable onto some bread and add with their fingers. These were the first open sandwich and they call them trencher. The name sandwich first appears. An Englishman, John Montagu, 1718 to 1792. The four ill of sandwich like to eat and gamble at London Mistake Club. Sometimes he stayed 24 hours at the gambling table. He was hungry, but he didn't want to stop gambling. So the chef from the club put some bits between two pieces of bread, and he ate while he gambled. This new meal became very fashionable with other men in the club, and they call it the sandwich after the meal. An American writer, Elisa Leslie, introduced sandwiches to America. In 1837, she wrote a cookbook, Direction for Cookery. In it, she had a recipe for ham sandwiches. Cut some thin slices of bread and ham. Butter the bread and put the ham between two slices with some mustard. It's for lunch or supper. Americans love them. Sandwiches became very popular indeed. They were easy to make, and they were wonderful, cheap, portable meal for worker and school children.
Hello Chan, hello everyone. Today I'm presentation about the history of sandwich. A famous rabbit, Henry the Elder, made the first cross sandwich. He made some nut, apple, and spice with some wine, and put it between two masses pieces of flat bread. People use bread as plan. They put meat and vegetable onto bread and add with their finger. This is the first open sandwich. They call them trencher. The name sandwich first appeared an Englishman, John Montagu, 1718 to 1792. A 4-year-old sandwich. Aligned to it and gamble at London Mistake Club. Sometimes we stay 24 hours in the gaming table. He was hungry, but he don't want to stop gambling. So the chef from the club put some dish between two pieces of bread, and he ate while he gambled. The new meal became very fashionable with all the men in the club, and they call it sandwich after the year. And American writer Elisa Leslie introduced sandwich to American. In 1837, she wrote a cookbook Direction for Cookery. In it, she had a recipe for ham sandwiches. Cut some thin slice of bread and ham. But they butter the bread and put the ham between two slices with some mustard. Eat for lunch or supper. American London sandwiches became very popular indeed. They were easy to make and they were a wonderful, cheap, portable meal for workers and school children.